So, getting used to this whole live thing. So, if this is your first time watching, my name is Nate. I am basically the guy at what I have titled Iron Lighthouse Forge. The video I want to do, most importantly, is because I leave for Colorado here in a few hours, and sleep is not coming. So I was like, I haven't done a video on here in a long time, and I promised I'd do the redo video, if you will, of this knife right here, what I just basically called the hunting knife, or I believe I called it Esau the Hunter. That's what it was. So what I kind of wanted just to do here is, the truth is, with the reality of knife making, I have now been doing this since the beginning of spring, so we'll just say a solid 6 months, basically, if not close to that. And guys, for starting off, listen to people that have been doing it for a while. I basically thought I was going to be the Chris Costa of knife making, if you will, from the get-go, and that's just not. Sorry, I keep on looking over here. Not here. Sorry. It's just not a reality. It's not. Start off slow. And the other thing, Ecom Knives, great guy to learn from. His territorials are very simplified, very easy to follow, and he's a great teacher online. And he has a passion for this. And I was watching one of his videos because, look, let me just go ahead and pull this knife out here. But I want to go through some of the first knives I made versus where I'm at right now, and hopefully we'll see improvement on that. But when I was doing this video, and you can go in my videos here, this one's live, but it'll also be pre-recorded. And if it doesn't come out well, I'll just upload my saved one. But when I made this knife, all that was on my mind was, I need to make a sale. I need to make some overhead back. The truth of the matter is, I have a passion for this. I do. Ever since I started doing it, especially with blacksmithing, and I'll go towards more of that at the end. But I was so hell-bent on needing it's not even wanting, but needing to sell this knife so I can make some overhead back, so I can get some steel and stuff. And guys, he makes a good point on his video on tips how to sell your knives. Number one, you have got to love what you do for the fact that you love to do it. Because if not, I'm no better than the midnight infomercial guy trying to sell you something that they don't have a passion about. It's just a job. What Iron Lighthouse is about is putting a footprint, a fingerprint of my life into this world by making craft that I absolutely love to make, and I want somebody else to enjoy it. And yeah, I want compensated for it, but when it comes down to it, I've been doing some real big thinking. I was like, I've got to start back and really take back the joy of knife making in my life, and not just so bent on making sales, because I'm never going to make a sale and I can mess up. And that's what I believe happened to this knife. At first I had a little bit of a bend to it, and I corrected that. And again, I was so focused and hell-bent on selling this knife, so make overhead back. I remember saying, yep, this knife is going to sell for no less than, $110, and then as the time went on, that price dropped. So what I'm getting at, first and foremost, is love what you do or don't do it. Because other people that are looking for quality stuff want to have the person behind the knife that is creating it to be someone that enjoys what they do, and not just do it because it's not going to come out as good as you thought. And that's what happened. I redid the edge on this, and as I said, it's Esau the Hunter. It's it could be a nice little camp knife, so you don't have to bring out your nice cutlery or whatever. You could still bend this up, and this still could sell. I'm not going to sell it for what I wanted because it's not the quality. It's not there. Let me just go over that. Because I was rushing and I was so bent on wanting to make the sell, I was skipping, if this makes sense, I was taking myself away from learning viable lessons. And if I can, I'm going to go ahead and bring, I might have to bring this in the light a little bit more. Here we go. Sorry, I gotta look over to my screen here. So if you can see the bevel here, there's not really a bevel. Where the plunge is, there's not really anything there. It's just kind of ground up. I mean, it's a small one. I mean, but this is more going towards something you use in the kitchen, not in the backwoods. And again, I was saying, oh, yeah, this is good enough, you know, and I can feel right here, and there's a difference. Again, I was bent on selling the knife instead of making a quality product that's worth selling. If I can first get I love what I'm doing, and I pound out some good quality, that's good, but I was skipping an important step in what I needed to learn with these other two knives I did learn, and that is when you're grinding, you know, you have got to watch your pressure. A guy that I follow on Instagram, me and him are pretty good friends, he's taught me a lot just through messaging him. He's a little bit younger than me, but he's been doing knives a little bit longer. And he says, man, if you don't watch your pressure, you're going to have exactly what you have. You're going to have basically a two-tone blade and not really a bevel. And then the other thing was I was, again, so bent on selling the knife, and that's the whole purpose. Instead of making product worth selling, when I went to heat treat, I said I got this so hot that it bent a little when I quenched it. This is also 1080 steel, so you got to be careful with that. Make sure I think the problem what I had was my oil. I've been doing some research, and that's one thing you got to do is you got to do your research in order for you to make quality product. Do your research, do your homework, because again, if you're just doing this as a hobby, you know what, learn from your mistakes, whatever. My goal is to turn this into a full-time business. Just because, I mean, it's something I love to do, and I like people looking at the things that I make. I mean, it's not very often that something that you make is in somebody else's hands and they're just in awe of it. It's just, and it's a feeling I can't describe. But also, it brings me back to my faith in Jesus, man, because, you know, I don't care where you're at in the world. This is why I do this business. This is one way I got to tell people about Jesus and what He's done in my life. I was basically just a regular, you know, piece of steel. And throughout my life, man, I've been fighting Him and stuff, and you know, He's been molding me and shaping me, and you know, through trial and tribulation, He's not done with me yet, and you know, He's shaping me to form. That's one thing as a creator of something, as a smith or a knife maker. That's kind of what the feeling is. But getting back to what I was saying is, when I was heat treating, I got the oil too hot. You want to get your quenching oil at least warm, but not so much to where when you quench it, the blade's gonna just go all crazy. And that's what my mistake was. And again, I was so bent on selling the knife, not making product worth selling, product that I would be happy to have, instead of, you know what, I could throw it in my camp bag, or you know, whatever, you know, any of that stuff. What happened was, I got the bend out. Me and my friend, we heated my fire pit up, because my forge right now is being added onto, and I'll show you some stuff here in a little bit. But when I heated this, originally I got this to a beautiful golden color, and I was excited about that. But when I saw that bend, I freaked out, and there was no way. I mean, I put my full body weight on this thing, and it did not crack. It did not break after I treated it. So, I mean, I talked to guys and said, you're going to have to reheat it up, and that was dangerous. So I did, and it still came out at a decent color, except in some spots I overheated. And the some parts on the edge that you saw in the video, the first one doing the test on this, the edge bent inwards because I was hacking away. It did not treat well. So this may stay in the kitchen. Just use it as a kitchen knife. But what I'm getting at here, guys, is this is not my first knife I made. I have probably made now close to 12. I've given some away. I still have some, and I'm still making some. So this is actually I'll say 10. But I'll show you the work basically since the beginning. Before, let's see here. Let me show you a blank that I still have got to clean up. This was went to our Habitat Humanity here locally, and this is just I don't know if I can bounce it off the light well. Yeah, there we go. You can see it that way. I'm looking into two different lenses, guys, so bear with me. But if you guys want a tip on where to get cheap steel, find a Habitat of Humanity type business, and they have saw blades. Cut that thing out, man. It's not very thick at all, but the steel material is amazing applications, and you're not going to really mess up the steel at all when you go to treat it, as long as you watch your temperatures. Again, this is all about doing your researching. I'll try to zoom in here. You can kind of see it. There's no edge on this, but right here you can kind of see, as I was talking about on that other knife, all I have is a two-tone blade. That's it. Not really a bevel, and that means not really going to be not the edge that I want. Some people, I've seen people, they don't put much of a bevel on there. They just put an edge. They just basically have a full bevel. They just put the edge on. And I said I've seen some people do that. I wouldn't want a knife like that. But this, of course, is not finished. I mean, this is my friend's project. He's never finished, so I decided to take it on. But the same steel. This is actually the first knife that I did refactory, meaning I took a piece of steel, cut it out, cut it to shape, ground it, and this is the first technical knife, and it holds a great edge. This was after doing hours and hours and hours and hours of studying Ecom knives, territorial videos, going over them over and over and over. But again, you see that two-tone. You see the plunge down here. Yeah, you can kind of see it down there. Not really a bevel, not that thick of steel, but I remember grinding the crap out of this thing, just taking so much metal off. So he makes a good point, and for beginners, where I was at and where you need to slow down on, you're going to remove a lot of metal. Get metal material that you can work with, that you can learn with, that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, because I'm telling you what right now, I've yet to make a sale on a knife. But again, I had to reevaluate why I want to do this. Yes, I want to turn this into a business, but at the end of the day, am I happy with the product that I make? Would I be happy to buy it? Would I want this knife to be maybe passed down to a family member or a child, my children one day, or something like that? Those are the questions I want to ask. Is it worthy to go in somebody else's hands? So this is my first knife I technically made, and you can see my maker's mark right there. I mean, this is my knife, man. I love this thing. I carry it in the shop. I carry it on my belt here. And another thing, if you're gonna make knives, and this is probably a given, maybe it's not, do sheath work. This is my first sheath. This thing is horrible, but again, trial and error. Do not be afraid to mess up. Ecom even talks about that is your best teacher, is making mistakes and correcting them. That's what knife making is about. You make a mistake, you correct it. Make a mistake, you correct it. Guys, you're working with metal. You're going to make mistakes. Just try to correct them. If you can't, take a break from it. That's one thing I did not do on this. I said I was not, I was just in a hurry. I wanted to make a sale. I needed to make money back. And I'll be honest, I almost gave up and said, I'm not going to try to sell knives and stuff like that in the back of my mind. But you know what? I just said, just keep learning, keep plugging along. So again, this is my first knife. This is mine personally. Again, not a lot of thick steel. This would be great folding material for the thickness it is. But we're moving on here. This was my first time ever buying steel right here. This is what I call my Phineas. If you go on my Instagram, just type in Iron Lighthouse Forge and it'll be right there. From the handle work to the blade, this is another blade that I removed so much. I think I got this at 120 125 hundredths of an inch, something like that, of steel. And again, I removed a lot of it. If you look at the, you can kind of see here. Maybe you can't. There we go. You can kind of see the thickness. Excuse me. Not that thick compared to the handle. You can kind of see here. There we go. You can kind of see it shimmer there. A lot thicker than where the blade is, where the bevel is. And again, I was in a hurry to make product, mostly because I wanted to say I made a knife. And I was getting in the time where I was going to go visit my family in Colorado again months ago, and so I wanted to hurry up and make some product and stuff. So this was my first knife, and this is mine. I over making knives for the period that I have. One of the arts you'll need to learn and take time on, do not rush, is the edge work. Because you can say, oh yeah, that edge is nice and zeroed, and it'll still be dull, and you'll try to sharpen it. You'll spend hours sharpening it, and they will not retain an edge. If you can shave your arm once and then it goes dull, take your time on the edge work. Watch some territorial videos, practice, get a piece of steel that you can just practice with. You're making an edge, grinding it down, and practicing again, learning the different techniques of it. I don't really have. I'm not at the point right now where I've said I perfected that craft, or I've created my own. But again, this is one of my first knives, and you can even see let me put it in the light here. You can see the handle work. It's G10 scales, first scales that I've ever bought, and I was trying to do the cool designs that I saw on Instagram and the ones that are on sale on eBay and stuff. I was like, yeah, I'm going to replicate that. Well, here's another thing. If you don't have the right grinder, you're not going to be able to get that quality of work. Which brings me to another point of I'm kind of going all over the place here, typical pastor, but the first part is, again, make sure you love what you do, and you're doing it for the love of that, and let the product that's presentable to people and worthy to go in other people's hands and worthy for them to compensate for you. Take your time on that. Make sure you're doing it, or just don't do it. If you're trying to turn a business into it, don't expect to make sales. Make sure you love what you do first, and if you're not going to make any money off of it, you're still going to do it. Uh-oh, I'm not live. Maybe I am. Okay, sorry. I have a 4x36 inch grinder. You can find them on eBay. Look, it's not a knife grinder. Find a smaller belt one, that way you can get more of a consistency of a plunge. I'll show you some of my other work here where I've learned to work with what I've got. If it's all you can afford, I pay like $80 for it. It's working like a champ. Not expensive on electricity, but your plunge work will be off on one side unless you move your belt all the way over. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on how to make knives with this type of belt grinder. But if you can, get a thinner belt or buy one of the more expensive ones. If you have to use the tools that you have and you have to adapt, do so. Also, I've never done this yet. Maybe I will attempt it. Is to find a file system, because you're going to have more of a consistent bevel. And you're going to have a better chance of getting a nice edge on your knife than you will of just, going by the seat of your pants, just, trying it out like I have been. But I've learned. So again, this is one of my first knives. The grain of sand paper that I use on this on my machine, I tried to get this to a mirror polish. I didn't. But again, this is like my first knife. And you can even see the plunge lines here of what I'm talking about, the inconsistency of them. Okay, and you can kind of see, right there. And then if you flip it around, see what I mean? What happened was I was trying to match up here with where the bevel would end, and it was just off on all sides, and I wasn't taking my time. So I decided I'll just run it all the way through, and that's why it looks like a kinship product. Just like that one, because I was rushing and not taking my time. I just wanted a knife in my hand, And this was one I was going to try to sell, be honest, but it's now my knife, and as soon as I was done with it, I fell in love with it. I still love this knife. So moving on, this is one of my first ones. Kind of speed things a little bit along here. That's not my first one, that's my second one. Well, and then I made one for my dad. The edge came out decently. That's all on Instagram. And then when I got back, I started to mess with this stuff right here. And again, I was hell-bent on making product to sell instead of enjoying and learning the craft that I'm getting myself into. It is true when people say, man, if you are wanting to sell knives, don't set yourself up for failure or disappointment when you don't sell a knife in the first 6 months or even a year of your business. A lot of them you're going to have to probably give away, which I'm looking at having to do just to get your name out there, or barter with people. A friend of mine is getting into Kydex holsters. I told him, hey, I'll buy one from you, or we can just trade off and we'll do reviews on the products that we have and get our name out there. Again, guys, I want to make this into a business, but you've got to be smart about how you do it. Don't set yourself up for failure. Don't beat yourself down when you're not selling knives, because there's probably some of you that are more natural at it than I am. I'm one of those people that have to learn the hard way. But as I do my craft and the things that I do get a little bit easier, and I learn more, and it becomes a little bit better, as you'll see in these next knives I have. But you've got to take your time. You really do. Don't rush. As I said, some people will probably make better product on their third knife than I did. But I said I've made about 10. So moving on here, this is the product that I have now that are actually spoken for. They're my brothers. Family's a good. I'm not trying to use my brothers for this. I love them, and I get to go see them again. And I didn't get anything for the birthday for like the past, since I've been in Ohio, and I'm due. So I made them some knives, and this is got a little bit of shine to it. We got WD-40, and that's another thing. WD-40 is your friend. You're going to use a lot of it. This is the knife that I just got done with. Let me see if I can pull. There we go. You can see from everything that I went over thus far, the plunge, you can see right there, that's where the bevel stops, and it is consistent for the most part on the other side. There's some stuff off. I love my brothers. It's good enough to give them. I don't want to give them complete crap, and this is something that I think I'd be able to make at least value of what I've spent. But it's different steel. It's not. I'm sorry. The other steel. Forgot to say this. Let me backtrack again. Typical pastor. This was not 1080 steel. This was 1095. Typical stainless steel, and so were the other knives like I made my dad. So this was 1080 steel. Or no, this was 1095. Sorry, this was 1095 steel. This was 1080. Yeah, you can actually see it here. You can kind of see the. Let me not drop a knife in my foot before I go to the airport. Set there, right there. You can't really see it. Yeah, you can. You can see the kind of the 80 plus there. And where I get my steel, guys, big shout out to AKS, Alpha Knife Supply. Great people, man. Chuck is an awesome guy. I've been telling him, where I started off and where I'm at, and just encourages you, man. He started off somewhere too, and now he has a business selling knife, steel, and knife supply. It's again, gotta love what you do. This guy loves what he does. He also makes knives. But going back to the knife here, kind of short, everyday carry type knife. A lot better on my handle work. I got Markita scales, not G10. I recommend Markita over G10. I see why Ecom says that, because it's just so you can just get better quality out of it, man. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying. There we go. The pens are brass, and then you have a black and brown. Let's see. can just get finer detail with it. And you can see, as I have the knife there, you can see where the plunge is, how that's pretty much where the other side is. And even the bevels, how it curves like that, it's kind of cool, and I kept it like that, are pretty much even. And my edge, let's see if I can get it to where it's not glaring so much. And the edge on this thing, man, I'm proud of. Yeah, you can kind of see right there. Nice big edge. I haven't even taken this to the sharpening zone, but maybe a couple swipes because I have a little ding there, and it came out fine. It wasn't really a ding; it was just a kind of inconsistency of just the actual edge was just needed a little bit more filing. And this a couple swipes on the sharpener, and that took care of it. But I'm really proud of this knife. As I said, you can see from where I started to where I'm at. It's a night and day difference. Let me just go ahead and just do this. There we go. You're gonna see the difference in quality. You can actually see a bevel on there versus a ghosted two-toned edge on my first one. But now, I mean, I'm telling you, the more and more you do it, the more and more you're going to love, guys. Just stay at it. But again, make sure you love what you do, because you're not guaranteed to make a living off of this. And that's another thing I'm going to go on here as I end this. But so this is the one knife, and I talked about sheath making. As you can see, I hate using the word evolution, but the progression of the sheath making. First one, I even made a mag holster for my magazines for the pistol I carry. To this one, this was probably one of my favorite sheets I've made thus far. Just the consistency of the leather, the thickness. It came out really nice. It's an ambidextrous belt loop. It's at a vertical, so you can just put it around the side and have it stick out a little bit, or all the way around the back. But the leather work on this, I mean, for my first one, and just not having the tools to do it, but making do with what I had, that's a lot of what you're gonna have to do. And if you get frustrated at it, don't do it. Give up. Don't beat yourself up if you cannot learn to fail and use what you have. If you have a bunch of money, go spend it. But I'll tell you, with starting this forge, I'm past the $1,500 mark, if not more, and that includes my anvil, some classes for blacksmithing, but the knife stuff, the refractory, punching out steel, shaping it, grinding it, and all that stuff. I mean, that still is overhead. You're going to be spending money. If you're not willing to spend it, don't do it. If you're not ready for it, save. And then we got the sheath for the one I just showed you. Again, doing study on sheathing. The leather work here, and this isn't the best leather on this one, but I mean, it just came out pretty good there. I didn't do any fancy designs. I have leather tools now, leather stamps, but I water formed it, and it locks in there pretty good. I'm gonna have my dad, who's been making leather sheaths, teach me some things, but I mean, for the most part, it's pretty good in there. I'm gonna go take it out here and get it ready to go to the airport with me. And then this one. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. This one I was hurrying, and then I stopped myself because I really liked how this one was. I don't like to make knives like others, in a sense. So what I wanted to do with this one, because I tested out rock washing. I tested out etching without going and buying the etching stuff. I used vinegar, and I boiled the blade like 3 times, trying to get the tone more, and trying to get the flakes to show. Didn't perfect it, but it made a cool tone on the knife to where it's kind of a smoky, gray. There you can see it. And what I was like, you know what? I'm gonna kind of make this look like an older knife, because I got some walnut from my grandfather. I haven't made wood knife scales yet, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna test this out. And again, this is one of the knives my brothers are gonna get. There's 2 of them, so they get to fight over who gets what. But again, this is 1080 steel, and I wanted a kind of older, rustic look to it, kind of like if you were to find this laying in the field. And it has I've been getting into Celtic knotting for leather work and woodwork and so forth. and carving and stuff. So I kind of just thought out a design, a really simple one, but looks decent. And I kind of just went with it. And to me, if you were to find this and you were able to save it and restore it, maybe not the woodwork and stuff like that, to fade a little bit, that's what I got. And I really like it. I wanted to initially, I have yet to do it. I'm going to test myself on it to get a mirror finish on the bevel, on the actual blade, to where you can see your reflection. That's what I wanted to do with this. A smoky tone on the blade part, and the bevel would be completely you'd be able to see your reflection. That's what I was going for. But instead, I just said, you know what, the bevel on it is good enough, but I mean, it has a nice shine to it. I'll show you my, I don't know if you can see that there. Yeah, there you go. My design here. Yeah, there you go. My design there, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there you go. I think you can see it. My design there correlates with the other side, as you can see right there, and the woodwork is beautiful. I'll try to get that shined up for you. But you can see the design, there we go, matches the other side. They work together. Oops, I think I just got bit by my own blade. I haven't even put I haven't even take this to the sharpening block yet, and it has an edge. It said work on the edge, art man. But the shine on this thing, I've never really done staining on wood either, and my grandfather gave me some good tips and some tools to do that, and that's actually how I got these handles the way that they are, and I'm actually very proud of them, how they turned out, because the better tools you have, the better quality you're going to make. So again, it comes back to you're going to have to spend money in order to make money. But again, I love what I do, and the fact that I produce this quality, and I'm still learning, I'm still a beginner in this, but I am proud of the work that I have done on these knives, and I think my brothers will be proud of it too. Again, it's kind of an ugly look. It kind of looks beat up in some areas, but that's really what I was going for. And the sheath, this is the best leather sheath I've made, and this is when I started to get into, you can see kind of the design work there. I didn't have a wooden mallet, a leather mallet, so I kind of just used my first knife I've ever actually forged. It has a nice weighted in there, so I used that as a makeshift hammer, and then I was getting into taking a whole piece of wood and just smacking it instead of going and spending $4 on a hammer. And then the funny thing is, kind of go off track, get a typical pastor. I got into I said Celtic knotting because I mean it's a beautiful art, and I just felt led I needed to do it, and I got into wood burning as well. I'm adding more and more tools and skills to this forge in order to not just make a better product, but to really put my name behind it, really put my fingerprint in it. Other people may copy you or whatever, but it's still going to have your signature, it's still going to have your work behind it, no matter if any other people's doing it. Some people love what you do, you love it yourself. And I just went crazy with wood burning. And this is my leather mallet, my leather making mallet. I wood burned all that. And one night I just said, you know what? I got this design, I got this wood burner, I'm going to pound this out. And you got the bottom there. This was when I was just learning. You should see my box when I first tried to do the getaway. Remember I said you got to work with what you have? Okay, you're going to laugh at this. I keep all my leather tools, stamps and stuff in it because it's sad. I was actually, the one knife I can't show you that I made was my first Kurideshi. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a Japanese knife. You can use it. It's great, easy to carry. I made it for my boss. It was my first custom order. I was proud of it. Had a decent edge on it. It was 1080 steel. Nothing more than that big, but I mean, pink G10 scales in there because she wanted pink. Made her custom leather sheath, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do the wooden box too with it. Make it look really cool. So you're gonna laugh. This is the box I was gonna give her. If you can't laugh at your own work, man, sometimes you need to quit. You can see right here. That is a type of kind of Celtic knot. And then the same thing over here. And what my goal was, it was really nice when I dremeled it out, and that's another tool that I bought that helps me with my handles and shining up the blade and edges and stuff like that, and polishing. It's another tool you're gonna definitely need to get it. I mean, I'd recommend it, but I didn't have a wood burner yet, so as you can see, this thing looks like it was taken out of the fire, which is kind of a cool look. Not gonna lie. But what I tried to do was I tried to dig the Dremel into the wood so far that I could take gasoline or WD-40 and insert it into the cracks. It worked in some parts, and then I was like, okay, it looks decent, but I kind of want more of a more rugged look, and so I put my my stamp ILF Iron Lighthouse Forge, and it just looks like a burnt box now. So I was trying to work with what I had. I had fire, I had a Dremel, I went with it, didn't work out, so I went and got our new box, and that's also on Instagram. You can check that out. But I did a similar design like this on there. Actually, I believe, yeah, just go check it out. Go on Instagram, check it out. And then I did some leather wrapping on this. I actually have, if you're interested, I have another blank one of these. I'm definitely going to sell these. I'm definitely going to do some more design with this. I'm excited about this. Again, I love what I do. I've stayed up this week doing a wooden frame for my sister's wedding. All Celtic knots. It took me 8 hours to eyeball this design. It's on Instagram. Go check it out. It took forever, but it was so worth it. It was my staining job, so it's not the best staining job, but it came out something that I'd be proud to give my sister and her husband. But I don't just stay up until 4 o'clock in the morning to waste time if I'm not serious about this, because I do love what I do. I do love when people see the work that I do. Here's another thing that I do is custom boxes. I put the stamp on there for Iron Lighthouse Forge. This was the design I put on my boss's box. And, you know, I've been working with the wood reliefing, that type of stuff. I actually did a really beautiful one that my first sale in this business was not a knife. Surprisingly, it was wood burning. I'm an artist. I used to draw a lot, and I'm getting back into it. I don't know if you can kind of see that, but I got this as inspiration. I kind of traced a little bit off of offline, made some adjustments that I could do, because a lot of it was just too detailed on that skill level, but this was an end. And I put it on the box, and you want to talk about a lot of work aside from that frame. What I'm getting at, guys, is you've got to add more than one thing if you really want to do this, and if you're really passionate about it, you'll end up adding more things. In my sense, I mean, I'm a craftsman. I don't know if I would necessarily just call myself a blade maker, a knife maker, or a blacksmith. I'm a craftsman. I like sharp things. I'm going to make sharp things. I'm going to get into forge welding. But let me again show you this leather here. I'm going all over the place. I'm like half asleep and half just energetic about this, because I almost want to just, you know, burn some wood until I gotta go, or start drawing out my chef knives. But I mean, the sheath, I did you can see the stitching there. I did double row, I think that's what it's called. But the lining here, I used a friend of mine on Instagram, just talking to him. You know, don't be afraid to talk to people. The ones that are as passionate as you are, they'll talk to you because they love what they do too. They're not afraid that you're gonna make sales, and they're not. I mean, they gotta make a living too, but if they're passionate about it, and they see that in you, and you're really trying to learn, they might give you some hints. Some of them won't, but he told me to use a butter knife to make the lines like that, and just be very careful, because I didn't have a leather a cutting edge knife yet like I have in that box now. Again, you're gonna have to invest in some things, but this came out really good. It's another vertical holster sheath. I got some leather curing stuff, so it'll help it stay nice and protected from heat and water. But again, this is one of my best best things made thus far. And I mean, this slides right in there. Water formed it a little bit. And I mean, look at that. Tell me that doesn't just look really cool in that sheath. You can't really see the knotting. Maybe you can. There we go. Flip it around. An interesting little walnut, by the way. I know this is kind of like a blog and I'm going all over the place. You have to forgive me. Again, I'm tired. I've been staying up all week since about 3 o'clock in the morning, and then getting up and working on more things, and still doing a ministry and stuff. But again, I love what I do. I wouldn't stay up as late as I do and get up, stay up until 3. I don't have to work until the afternoon, so I mean, I don't have to get up all early, but I get my time in with God at the best I can, unless I'm sidetracked from Facebook or something like that. But I love what I do, or else I wouldn't stay up this late and learn and study and practice and just repeat it over and over. Look for more tools. Look at more people that's done this a lot more than I have. But that is my blog. I guess that's why they call it a blog. My video blog on just the product that where I started. And let me just for fun, I'm gonna go ahead and lay out all the knives here, including my. Ooh, here's another one. I'm making a straight razor. I haven't got it yet. This is actually forged. There's a little bit of a bend in it. You can kind of see it. Beautiful turnout though on the bevel on the edge, but it's not to that 0 yet. It's not. It's close, but it's not there yet. I got to get some more abrasives. But I'm gonna go ahead and put the forged stuff here, and I'm just gonna kind of do a run through on the. I call it my shop bench, but it's really my office desk in my room here. I'll just show you all the knives in kind of order that I have made. You can see the progress. I'm gonna move this thing, my makeshift. I call my makeshift vice grip, because the other one's in the shed out there with all the forged stuff. And here we go. So going left to right, first ever actual forged knife, and that actually has a pretty nice edge on there for being a railroad spike that was purchased legally, by the way. Good old eBay. It was, they can't say that you can't legally purchase those. And then this one was around the same time, and it kind of just sat in the shop a little bit. So, and then the refractory, I think that's the proper term. Yeah, refractory steel knives are here on through. So I'm just going to kind of go like that. And you can get a better look. Sorry for the horrible camera job, but as you can tell by everything I've said, there's my maker's mark. You can see that better. Yeah, there we go. They kind of two-toned. Not really a bevel, not really, and this is kind of just a two-tone blade, and I put an edge on it. Works great. And then moving along, and I started to work on edging with this as soon as this one went to crap. On that video that you see that I hack away in the edge bends, I did some work on this, and I got a little bit better of an edge. Again, it's all about you make a mistake, correct it. Make a mistake, correct it. You can even see my grind work here, just practicing, trying to put the stamp on there. The Iron Lighthouse Forge. But again, you can see the inconsistencies. Okay, it's all learning. And then this one, I really love the handle just the way it is. Just because of I was working with what I had. I put it at the top of my grinder, and just being an artist, I was like, hey, that kind of looks cool, and it actually feels really good. Just kind of just wraps around there. All your fingers are strapped in there. I do have one. Sorry, again, typical passer. But let me show you another knife. That's my friend's. I have not completed it yet, but I will show you. Is one of the first ones I've also done. This is actually out of the first stock steel that I ordered. There it is. This is called a Redmond. If you actually go on Instagram and you go to the history of all my junk on there, and you go to the beginning of the Instagram page, you'll see this guy. And again, it's a two-toned, and he wanted to help and learn a little bit. So, and this is when I was, I wasn't, when I ground so much metal off of this. As I said, it was 125 hundredths of an inch, yeah, I mean it's a two-toned blade basically. We can put an edge on it and it'll be fine, but this treated really good. There's no real plunge there. It's just kind of a two-tone, but you'll see what I mean. See what I mean? There's not really a bevel there. It's just kind of two-toned. Nice knife, nice design. I'm probably gonna have to make him another one day, but it'll be a nice knife for him. It treated well, so. But that'll go right there, because this was the Phineas. This one right here. The Phineas was out of my first steel ordered and knife made, aside from my dad's. And then you have that one, and then you have this one. These are all the 1095s, and then you have the 1080s. So these are the progression of I won't say mastering, but becoming a master student. I love that saying. Become a master student at the things that you want to become well at, and that's where I'm at. I made my first wooden handled knife. I love it. Made my first Markita handled knife. I love it. I'm progressing more and more, and I got ideas. In fact, I'll just go ahead and give you a little insider here. You can see that. If you can take a guess at what that's going to be, it's actually going to be a kitchen product, because I'm really good at messing up and making kitchen products. So I was like, hey, let's go ahead and just try it. And what I mean by AKS, man, Chuck is an awesome guy. I didn't realize that was the CEO when I called in one day to make an order of steel, and that's the one I got I had to order some brass for the pins, and we were just talking, and I said I was sharing my war stories, and he helped me out a lot. And he's like, dude, if you want to, if I can make a suggestion, you need to get some 8670 steel, and he sent me one, man. I mean, they're just really great guys. They're a great company there, and the fast shipping, very fast shipping. But this is going to be my first ever chef knife. I was watching some territorials on Ecom, and it is not your normal grind. So I am expecting to mess up on this one. Hopefully it'll be quality enough to use at home. Who knows? It may turn out well. Maybe I'm more of a natural making kitchen cuttery. I don't know. I mean, I love making all kinds of knives. I can't wait to start forging, which I'm going to show you what I got here below in a second, which is a blessing. But I am excited. I'm going to do a different type of handle. It's going to be wood, but there's a special surprise behind it. So wish me luck on, yeah, that's going to be fun. I can already tell I'm going to be yelling and screaming at myself, like, oh, why did I do that? But at the ending of this video, I know it's been forever. I don't even know if I'm still live or not, but if not, I'll just post a video. I was at the Pioneer Days here locally, and I wanted to see the blacksmith there, because me and my friend we blacksmith, and I was already planning on ordering a blower hopefully before the snow fell, and because I've been using the most ghetto rigged version you can, but it works. I can make hooks and stuff, right there, make a hook, yep. Fire pokers, I got one right over here, somewhere. This is actually my friend's he made. You can kind of see the lightning bolt design he made there. Flat for the rake. This is more for a blacksmith. But we've been using a hairdryer as our air source, and we have a lawnmower deck for our lawnmower deck for the actual forge. Works with a rotary drum. But I was like, you know what? I've been using a lot of electricity on stuff. I'm gonna have to pay my guy I rent from a little bit more for the help of the bill. So I was like, I need to get a crank, and you can get a better heat consistency with it. So we're at the Pioneer Days, and we're talking about blacksmith and again sharing war stories. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna order a blower. I've been trying to find one. It's like, guys, I got a blessing for you, and that's literally his words. And he's like, I have a blower. I paid this amount for it, and I'm not using it. It's just sitting there. You can have it. So we went and we purchased it. From what I found, this is a $200 blower. Maybe not. I mean, it's in great condition. I know you're supposed to be very careful when you buy blowers because of rust and stuff. The oil, I mean, it's in mint condition. It really is. And I'm just show you. So I got a blower for next to nothing. Yeah, I paid the price that he paid for it, and it was nowhere near $100. I'll just put it like that. So I have a blower again. I'm going to definitely get back into blade smithing. I got the ideas down on the refractory knife stuff. Now, I mean, I made another railroad knife at class. I went to Doug Lockhart, and again, invest in classes. If there's a blacksmith or a bladesmith locally that can help you out, compensate him, because there's years or more knowledge than you have at that point in time, and mistakes that they have made that you will not make if you pay attention and you absorb. Again, guys, knife making, this craft is not for everybody, and I'm learning that, and I'm so glad I did not give up. I mean, after that video, that was in July. Let me just put it like this, and the pastor's saying this, I made a damn fool of myself with this. Let me just be honest with you. I was wanting to sell this at, if I may, this knife right here. If somebody wanted to buy it, and if you're interested, I can make you another one, but this one's my brother's. I would not sell this with the sheath. This is quality. I mean, there's a nice edge on it. It has I've done some hacking. It has not broke. There was a little bit of weird colors in there. I'm not gonna lie. I've done some research. It's really just fine. It really is. I mean, there's some parts towards right here that were a little bit darker and not a gold color, but you know, for the most part, this would be a good $80 knife. Again, it's not at the level I want to be, but it's something that I would be able to present in somebody's hand for a fair price, for $80 or whatever, with the sheath, and be happy. But I want to make high quality stuff, but again, I have to enjoy what I do, and you as well. So if you learned anything today on this blog, as scatterbrained as I've been, I have a lot going on in my mind. I cannot stop thinking about making this. I'm really excited. I'm gonna fail epically, probably the first couple grinds, but I'll get it. I'll get it fixed again. Make a mistake, fix a mistake. That's how you learn. But from where I've started to where I am, guys, I'm not gonna give up. I want to press the limits. I want to challenge myself. But let me say this before we just go over the rundown of everything I've said. This isn't for everybody. The whole Forge and Fire show, that was not my inspiration. My inspiration was my dad. My dad, he is not my blood father, if you will. He took me in. They used to babysit me when I was a child. Probably one of the closest ideas I can tell you about God's love for you is when a man that has seen you as a child, and to where you're at a point in your life where at a very young age there's a defining moment of where that person can go. And I can tell you this, when Jesus went to the cross for us, when God went to the cross for us, it was to rebuild what we destroyed. And he brought that upon himself. My dad, Vern, who inspired me a long time ago to make knives, because he made Damascus knives, and I was always jealous when my brothers got them, because I wasn't responsible enough. I was kind of dumb. I was getting into the gangbanging stuff, and I wasn't trustworthy. I mean, I wasn't. It was by God's grace that I didn't end up where I should have, which would be prison or dead. But when I was taken into this family, my dad told me that he didn't need paperwork to call me his son. So when the guy says he doesn't need paperwork to call you his son, That's big, and let me tell you, that's a picture of God's love for you. He didn't have to do this. He wanted to do this. He went to that cross for you because he loves you and he has a plan and purpose for you. Just like this steel right here, it may be this, but man, if you give him time. And again, this is not the quality level of work where I can exceed to in the future, but right now where I'm at, he can make something like this out of you. You just gotta trust him. You gotta ask him in your life. You gotta let him mold you and shape you. That's one of the beautiful things about blacksmithing. You heat the steel up, you shape it, you pound it to form and so forth. And it's a beautiful picture. But my dad's the one that inspired me to do this. And I'm falling more and more in love with this. And the whole bladesmithing thing is set back to the forged in fire. That's not what inspired me. My dad did. And I've always wanted to make knives. I mean, I see them at the store and the packages and stuff like that. You can take them out. And let me also tell you something. When you start forging or you start knife making, you will see so many inconsistencies in metal. My blacksmith teacher, Doug Lockhart, said, man, you'll be feeling okay. People are going to look at you because you're going to be in Hobby Lobby. Like, I know sometimes and I look at their metalware, and even it's like a hook, like hanging on the side of something, you'll be going, oh, yeah, that was made by a machine, not a blacksmith. You'll notice things. You'll buy a knife, and you'll see that it was completely just put into a mold, slapped together, heated, and punched out. And that's it. You won't see the love, care, and sweat and tears. Blood sometimes when the knife bites you. A lot of sweat though. That goes into these knives. That goes into this craft. Again, it's not for everybody. If you're more of somebody that just likes to watch it be done, watch it. But if you're really wanting to take the challenge of knife making, do it. You may not be able to make a living out of it. I am adding more things to this forge and craft business so I can make enough. Not become a millionaire. I'm not looking for that. Just enough to work for the money I earn and make sure it's fair. But what I want to say is, don't think this is for everybody. It's not. You've got to definitely think and consider if you can really see yourself doing this. But I mean, try it. That's all you can do is try. But if you get bored of it, you get too frustrated where you keep walking away, maybe pick it up a different time in your life. But if you made a couple mistakes but you're still driven to correct them, continue at it. You'll get better. I've only been doing this for 6 months, and you can see the progression. But just, going over what we went over today is make sure you love what you do. Don't be so focused and determined on, I understand you have to keep the lights on and stuff, but also count the costs. In God's Word it talks about, it gives the analogy of when people are going to war, make sure you have enough troops that you'll be victorious, or see if there's a way for terms of peace, because that's a better alternative instead of blood spill. At the same time as don't go and quit your job and just pick up a piece of steel and put it to the grinder without doing your research, without getting the proper tools that you need, or at least the ones that you will need to at least start. Because you get frustrated and again you'll give up, and you could be one of the best knife makers there is, but we'll never know because you quit because you're frustrated. The other thing is be prepared to spend some money. I thought I can do this the very cheap way. Not so. I mean, as I said, if you really want to actually start a forge, you're going to have to get yourself an anvil. You really cannot use the tools that you have around for blacksmithing. You can't use a carpentry hammer for blacksmithing. This is not going to work. You'll beat yourself to death. But also take some classes. Be prepared to spend some money. If you really want to make this into something you can maybe do as a supplement income, I'm not there yet. I'm praying that I will before I go back to Colorado, or maybe even find a shop I can work in there. But be prepared to spend some money. But again, if you love what you do, you'll end up investing in it, because it's not just investing into a business, it's investing into the product you make and the quality of that product. And that to me speaks more volume. As I said, if I can have some of the shops and the shop space that my grandfather has, which he gave me permission, I can go and do that. I'm excited about what I can do next. I'm excited for the next knife I can make, or soon to be tomahawks and battle axes, and maybe some swords, maybe by maybe next fall or something like that before I go to Colorado. Be patient. That is the number one thing in this game. Be patient. Be prepared to make some mistakes. Welcome those mistakes, but learn how to correct those mistakes. So I've been long-winded. I didn't know this video was going to take this long. I love what I do. I love talking about my stuff that I've created. God has blessed me with the abilities to do it, and yeah. So God bless, guys, and let me just tell you this: the whole purpose behind this is to tell you about Jesus. The Iron Lighthouse stands for, like I told you, the analogy. Iron is just, just some piece of metal, but unless there's a creator behind it, this won't take the form. This isn't the best example, but it's not what it was until it was put into fire, until that blacksmith took it and shaped it and put it back in the fire, twisted it, shaped it until what it can. If you want to see the one I made, it's on Facebook, or not Facebook, Instagram, and I did it in class, but had a good teacher, and I mean I can do that quality work. I'm going to. I mean, I've done it in months, but I got my blower now. I got to do some adjustments to the forge, but I should be doing forge work by November. Again, I'm excited about that. But that's the whole reason behind this. The iron is standing for we do things with iron and steel. The lighthouse is that I can be a light to the world to tell you guys about Jesus and His love for you, that there is only one true living God, and He does love you so much that He died on the cross. I don't care what country you're in, what creed you go by right now, what race, what agenda you are, what political party you are or you're not, or who you're voting for, or whatever. Jesus Christ loves you, and that's the message. That's the most important thing I can say to you today. Out of everything that I've said, the whole be patient, all that. The best thing I can tell you out of this video is that Jesus Christ loves you, and that He has a plan and a purpose for you. If you don't know Him, man, you're missing out. You're missing out probably one of the best parts in your life when you really receive God's love that He has for you. He has plans and purposes for you that only He has an understanding of and a will of, that no man can give you. Only He does. He'll put you on the adventure that He has for His kingdom. And it's about Him. It's not about religion. It's not about denomination. It's about Jesus. So God bless, guys. Hopefully we'll see you soon.